But now let's move on to more drama at the ABC with three big stories over the week to discuss with the panel. First, we have an exclusive by Sophie Ellsworth, who obtained a leaked email from the ABC's head of news, Justin Stevens, pleading with staff to stay united amid the multiple controversies plaguing the network. Now, Sophie, thank you for joining us. I love when you've got an exclusive to talk to us about on this show. Tell us what these emails were saying.
So Justin Stevens sent out an email, Jack, on Thursday morning to all editorial staff, basically saying we need to remain a united group given the issues that have unfolded in the ABC recently, without saying it exactly, but obviously in light of the Antoinette Lattouf sacking back in December. He also said that we need to have a safe space for staff, we need to improve culture, and he's saying they're going to be holding regular listening sessions for culturally diverse staff. They're going to be having town halls and various gatherings to basically hear the grievances of staff, particularly staff of diverse and First Nation cultures. So this is the ABC, again, bowing to a small minority group within its staff collective and tying itself up in knots. So this is very damaging. Again, they have made headlines, Jack, for weeks now since Antoinette Lattouf was taken off air. This has been one disaster to the next.
Gee, Kel, the staff have so much power at that institution.
Yes, yeah.
You've got the head of news, Justin Stevens, and he has to sit down and discuss the journalistic integrity with some 20-year-old cadet.
Well, is it journalistic integrity, or is it, are you culturally comfortable? You know, are you feeling at home here? When I read Sophie's article, and Sophie is one of the reasons I subscribe to The Australian, when I read Sophie's article, I went back to the Charter. What the Charter talks about is accuracy, impartiality, objectivity. He's not going to talk to the staff about accuracy or impartiality or objectivity. He's going to talk to them about cultural spaces and whether what we're doing is appropriate and are we being inclusive. So he's not even targeting the job. The job of journalism is to be accurate, to be objective, to be impartial. He's the head of news and he's not targeting that. I think Sophie's
Which
article
is not. She's not impartial.
No,
that's why she was gone.
Exactly.
But look, let's move on because it's another issue that the ABC has is this union-led attack on their managing director, David Anderson. Now, this bloke has finally made the right call and turfed this pro-Palestine activist Antoinette Lattouf from the airwaves, and the mob is coming for him. Ironically, their main complaint is outside influence undermining the independence of the ABC. So to solve this supposed issue, they are using outside influence to try and undermine the ABC's independence to put the activists back on air. Well, this week, David Anderson caved to that external pressure and has now promised to meet with the aggrieved unionists. Let's bring the panel back in to discuss. Now, Sophie, you've touched on this already, but to your point, these desperate meetings that these managers have to placate those with quite radical views, it spells cultural disaster within the ABC.
Well, Jack, let's just spell this out for viewers. So at the ABC, there is about 4,000 staff. About 200 gathered at this union meeting earlier in the week, and only about 130 voted. Now, 130 voted yes to a vote of no confidence in David Anderson, and just 3 said, they supported him. So this is about 3% of the entire staff. And as a result of these activists, what has happened is David Anderson has bowed to them. He's succumbed to pressure and he's agreed to meet with these union-led staff members. So if it's that tiny group, this says to me that David Anderson is not in control. He could have held his ground and not bowed to this small minority group within the ABC, but he has done that and he will be meeting with them in coming weeks.
Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Final story on the ABC tonight. Former News Corp and separately Foxtel boss Kim Williams is set to take the reins, replacing Ita Buttrose. Now, Williams has a complex history in the Australian media market, to say the least, and he has been no friend of the ABC in the past, prompting concern from staff. Now, Kel, very keen to get Your thoughts on this? Kim Williams, huge, larger-than-life figure.
Yes, yeah,
I think one of the best anecdotes I read about him is he was often the smartest person in the room, but seldom did he read it. What are your thoughts on this?
Listen, he's got a huge task. I've worked at the ABC. I think when I added up the years, about 25 years at the ABC. The chair of the ABC board has very little power. Two things happen to them. Either, firstly, they discover they've got no power, they can go to meetings and they can pass motions, but nothing much happens. And the other thing is they go native. So you get someone like Maurice Newman, who really was one of the best chairmen the ABC ever had, who really stood up to the place and discovered he couldn't change it. Or you get Ita Buttrose, who went native. So what's the point? I wish Kim Williams well. But until the funding changes, nothing will change. As long as they're getting taxpayer dollars without accountability, nothing will actually change.
We'll see how that plays out.